Hello once again to all of our listeners. We welcome you to another podcast episode. This podcast is idea to share thoughts and experiences from our roles as trainers and supervisors, how mindfulness can be used and useful for psychotherapy students to develop their competencies. And these thoughts and experiences we'll share with you, Melita Mihajlović Košak, a psychologist, psychotherapist, and a provisional trainer and supervisor in TA, and a mindfulness teacher from Slovenia, and myself, Tatjana Gjurković, a psychologist, a psychotherapist, and a trainer and supervisor in TA from Croatia. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for this introduction, Tatjana.
Yeah, it is so
nice to be again with you.
Yeah, the pleasure is mine to share another thoughts. Today we will talk about ethical considerations, about integrating mindfulness into psychotherapy training, with some additional exploration of cultural impact of it.
Yeah.
But before we go deep in our topic, let us all relax for a bit and be with you and your voice, Melita. So over to you.
Yeah. My association was immediately when you said, before we go deeper into topic, in my mind it was, let's go deeper into ourselves. So
yes. I agree. That's a good starting point.
Yeah, so here this morning, this would be my invitation for the listeners to take a few moments, if you can, and reconnect with yourself and come into a deeper place with yourself. So maybe to begin with, find what is a good position for you to place your body in a sitting position or standing position or even lying down, whatever feels comfortable for you. But still maybe taking a position where you can be awake and present and connected with yourself. And as you're coming to your position, just becoming aware of the fact that you're breathing. Seeing if you can be with your breath moment by moment. Moving up close and noticing detailed sensations of the breath, breathing by itself. Seeing if it's possible for you to be with the breath all the way, with the in-breath from the very beginning, all the way through, until you reach the end of the in-breath. Noticing a slight space perhaps there at the end of the in-breath. And then noticing the out-breath all the way out. And very end of the out-breath. And perhaps a slight space there before it turns around and comes in again. Seeing if you can be curious about this process of breathing, about the sensations involved in breathing in, breathing out. And now I'm inviting you, if you would like to expand around the breath and open a space of awareness that includes everything, includes it all. So expanding into choiceless awareness, as it's called. Being with whatever predominates, moment by moment, whatever is there. So in this larger space of awareness, noticing the breath, if that's the strongest part of your awareness, and being with that. Or if you notice the sound that comes into this space, then this awareness of yours can be with sound. You may be aware of sensations in the body, specific sensations, perhaps of discomfort, tightness. And if that arises for you, seeing if it's possible for you just to be with that. Mindful with sensations in the body. Or perhaps you may be aware of the body as a whole. Sitting, standing, lying down. Maybe that's the strongest part of your awareness. And in this case, being with that. Or perhaps as time passes, thoughts may arise in the mind, feelings, emotions. Seeing if you can be with those two. Being with whatever arises, moment by moment. Being with it exactly as it is. Developing curiosity, just how things are now. And remembering that at any time you can always come back to the breath. The breath is always there, always available. And you can use it as an anchor to bring you back home to this moment, the present moment. And if you choose to come back to the breath and steadying yourself in the breath, and then if you choose to, if it feels right for you, to opening up again, to just being in the space of awareness and allowing whatever comes through, whatever arises, maybe lingers, then dissolves. As best as you can, being present with whatever arises, moment by moment. Being present with whatever predominates in your experience. Sound, the breath, the body, sensations, thoughts, feelings. Over and over, coming back to this moment, however it is. And inviting you now to come back to the breath, coming back to the anchor of the breath, to the very sensations, to breathing itself, maybe to the place in the body where you can feel the breath the most. Just coming home to this breath. And this breath. And this breath. And also being aware that around the breath there is your body, maybe becoming aware of the body as a whole, from the head to the toes. And then a bit more expanding the awareness around your body, becoming aware of the room, the space where you're at the moment. Opening your eyes if they were closed and looking around. Check with your body and maybe stretch if it's necessary.
Wow, this was so lovely. Thank you.
Was there a space for you to go deeper into yourself?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was an interesting moment when I was concentrating to what I'm hearing, and I heard tractor, and I noticed tension in my body because now they're doing some work here on the grass, and in this time of the year the smells are very intensive, and that usually provokes my headache. So when I heard the sound, I realized that my body becomes tense. I'm in the closed space now, so the smell will not affect me, but I never noticed how only the sound provokes the tension in my body, because so many experiences before this hypersensibility to the smells.
Yeah, so there was a whole scenario already there.
Yeah.
What that meant to your body.
Yes, exactly.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think this is really good noticing, a good awareness. How even with just the sound, the body is already might be preparing for something and has a response to that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Even such in some way benign situation, it's a headache. It's not. We can also think about some severe trauma experiences when the body reacts, but I think it's also important to notice how even these more, let's say, benign situations still evokes tension in our body. So this is for me because my body reacts in this way. to the smells, these intensive smells now in spring.
Yeah.
For some it will not, but for some something else will.
Exactly. Exactly. And just wondering how many of those, as you call them, benign things happen through the day, every day.
Yeah.
And we can just hold them in our bodies without knowing if we're not, interested in that, and just it's just staying there.
Yeah. Yeah. Not noticing, not processing it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it can build up during the day, and then we can
Yes.
react in a certain way.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And how was it for you to just see that
It was
processing your body, and what did you do with this?
it gave me a certain relief and thankfulness for noticing it, because this is how my body reacts for decades now.
Yeah.
And I never paid so close attention only to the sound. Of course, whenever I hear and see them, and I know what
And
kind of
smell them.
in smell, I know what is next to me, and I know I have to go inside. But being with this in this moment with that tension brought me some relief. Like, okay, I'm also I'm also not exposed right now to that.
Yeah.
So yeah, kind of relief, only noticing it, and thankfulness for that. And also, okay, I'm inside, I'm not outside right now.
Yeah, kind of it sounds like, message to your body. Okay, I'm safe.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah,
And
so important. Yeah.
yes. And I want to share another picture. When I first opened the eyes in some moment during the exercise, I saw two little birds on the window.
Yeah.
And they were doing their things, but they were so cute, and they reminded me of you and myself. It's like, there they are doing something, and here we are doing
Being
something.
cute.
Being cute, yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, in some way it connected this picture of these two little birds, connected these warm feelings towards you and connection towards you. Yeah.
Oh, thank you for sharing this. Sounds really nice. Yeah, I could almost see them now through your eyes. Yeah, those little birds.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, and I'm thinking how my first sharing experience, how we can also put it in the topic for today we chose, the ethical considerations.
Yeah.
So what we were thinking to talk about today is, are there any ethical considerations or potential pitfalls associated with integrating mindfulness into psychotherapeutic training? And I know that before we started, you were actually sharing something like this, although I responded in a different way maybe, but I think it can be close connection to what you were earlier saying, that for some people it can provoke quite negative sensations, feelings, thoughts with which they might not know what to do.
Yes. Yes, we did have a little bit of discussion before, and yeah, I think this is a good way to continue. And I agree with what you're saying. So as trainers or psychotherapists, when inviting people into mindfulness practice, to keep in mind that they can be quite evocative. So because it's really going into, like my invitation was to go deeper, you know, within yourself. It's really actively directed into finding that connection with yourself and just being present with whatever is there. And we all know that the things that might await us sometimes are heavy, difficult, maybe even horrific sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
So it can bring up a lot of emotions, a lot of sensations, maybe because it's also oriented a lot to our bodies, sometimes bringing up really bodily traumas that, you know, we aren't even cognitively aware of. So just to somehow have that, I don't know, keep that in mind of that possible intensity that, yes, a lot can happen. Sometimes really nothing can happen. You know, people fall asleep and, you know, nothing much is happening, but just having that awareness that sometimes, yeah, it can evoke strong emotions, so that we can, you know, provide some adequate support, or I don't know, students, if that happens, or our clients, you know, that there can be some emotional distress. And yeah, and also what I mentioned already before to you, to also keep in mind, for example, something like cultural differences. Not everybody, how to say, mindfulness won't be everybody's cup of tea, or how to say that. Mindfulness actually has roots in different cultures, different religious traditions, but sometimes people don't see it like that, or they really connect it only to Buddhist tradition. So just have that cultural sensitivity that, you know, people have different backgrounds, different belief systems. Here I can remember a client who really struggled with this because she came from Christian tradition, and we know that also in Christianity we, you know, you know, we can also find mindfulness. But she really struggled because she knew this was from somehow Buddhist tradition as she saw it, and she really couldn't integrate this. It was so, just because of that fact, it was so foreign to her. And just having in mind this can happen, you know. Someone is just like, can't accept this into their belief system, and that's okay. Yeah. You know, they might perceive it as conflicting with their beliefs. So just, you know, having in mind that. So not students will be very different. You know, some will like it, some won't like it. Yeah, somehow when we present mindfulness, to give students their autonomy to decide whether this is something for me or it isn't. Sometimes as teachers that we are also like in mindfulness, and we are very enthusiastic with this topic, and we want everyone to know about it, and we want to teach our students everything about it. So just, you know, keeping in mind that maybe not all of them will share our enthusiasm. Just so that they don't, you know, feel forced into this, or this is like the only good way to do it, or they need to participate to be good students, or so that they don't feel, I don't know, excluded if they don't, you know, share necessarily that enthusiasm. So,
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you pointed out several things, such as balancing our own enthusiasm about integrating mindfulness within the training, and being aware of the reaction to it of different students. So some will share our enthusiasm and some will not. And maybe also what I noticed, some might be enthusiastic and might not show it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think it's also maybe for us to maybe seek in different ways the answers to their reactions, so especially when they're not open. Because at least what I'm thinking, and in my experience, sometimes I will feel, is there really a place of the mindfulness in the training if students don't share the enthusiasm and at least some similar experience? Like, should I just avoid it or stop it? Or and then I think open exploration about it is a useful way to see what they really do experience and take.
I would really agree with you. To offer something, and then also to give space for exploration, to be interested, you know, what is how someone perceives this, what is the difficulty. Not necessary to immediately correct it and to make it somehow better, but just to learn also about, you know, some other, how people might, you know, experience it, and what are the different views of it. Maybe something similar, the same as when we are doing mindfulness practice and we reach some kind of difficulties within us. It's not either, yes, I can stop mindfulness practice right now because this is too much, or I need to do something else, or there might be this option, okay, or maybe I can move closer to that and to this difficulty and be really interested and learn something about it. Maybe something similar what you were describing. Oh, this is the sound. And this is, wow, already sound might be difficult and something might happen. And you were just staying curious and learning about this experience. And I think this is something that we could also reflect onto when you know, being with the group and teaching them, okay, you know, not everything needs to go smooth, and you know, we can be also interested in the difficulties, and I think actually there is the place where we learn the most.
Yes, I was just thinking about it, how that is a real learning space when we manage, even myself as a teacher, when I notice how I would like to maybe withdraw because of the difficulty, and then how to stay with it. I think it's a great way of modeling mindfulness and really being with myself with this difficulty and wish to withdraw, and also with the difficulty of the students, maybe some particular, or maybe the group itself. So it's a real mindfulness in action, we could think of.
Yeah, definitely. I think so.
Yeah. Yeah, and another thing you pointed out is the the cultural background and cultural diversity itself, and of course then there is a religious aspect of it.
Yeah.
And yeah, I also notice how careful I am also about that, careful and mindful. Having in mind that most students do belong to Christianity, and I do oftentimes think of how also they take in the mindfulness activity, and most of them says it is suitable, compatible to what how they see, how they experience their own practice.
Yes, I think Christianity has many, practice that, involve being like cultivating the skills, capacities that also mindfulness does, in that sense, being kind, being present, acceptance. So basically, there's a lot of similarities.
Yeah, I agree. And I do feel a bit sadness, since mindfulness is heavily connected with Buddhism tradition. I was actually thinking of maybe it would be beneficial for us as trainers and supervisors to find different words for similar things in different religions. So maybe that could be also a way of integrating mindfulness in training.
Yeah, I think definitely that could help. That's, I guess that's what you're saying, is that sensitivity about, cultural, religious differences, and how to maybe bring closer into our culture concept of mindfulness. Yeah.
Okay, I think maybe that could be at some other point we could think of, search, explore, and maybe even directly ask our clients
and explore together. I think that's really good way to do it, because it's not just, teaching them about something, but it's really kind of exchanging views and values and learning from each other. I think it goes really well with that openness and acceptance, and where we meet.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember now, before we began, also there was another thing I was thinking about, maybe that we need to be careful or more mindful about when bringing mindfulness into training. One is the competence of teacher.
Yeah.
So if the teacher is presenting and teaching mindfulness, that he has some background on this, that he knows what he's talking about, that he has an understanding of mindfulness and mindfulness practices, and what their potential psychological impact is, and what is the intention of mindfulness practice. Because sometimes I see it gets a bit misused, presented as for example, a relaxation technique or something like that, where you can see that maybe there's not an in-depth understanding of why we would be doing mindfulness. So I think this is also important, to have an understanding, yes, about the concept that we are presenting and, teaching, as we had with every other, actually. But, sometimes I think you said that before, maybe even before we started, that on one way mindfulness seems quite easy, approachable, so it feels like, yeah, we get it, we understand it, and everybody can do it. But when we go into depth of it, it becomes more complex. So I think that's also good to keep in mind, and also to, when we're presenting mindfulness, even if we are very enthusiastic about it as teachers, just to emphasize, that this is like a complementary skill. It's not a replacement for our therapeutic modality. It's not a new standalone modality. So that we kind of give a platform for students where they can integrate mindfulness ethically within kind of their training and bounds of their training, so that they have also everything else in mind, what they learned within their training and modality. Yeah.
Yes, I agree that teacher competencies are also equally important as everything we said since now. And we were also talking how hard it is maybe to define what competency in these terms really means, since mindfulness seems so simple. STA also can be seem so simple, but it isn't. So I think it is very good that we reflect on, and maybe also that the students also are invited to reflect on how they experience their teacher when he or she offers mindfulness activities. So it can be a shared responsibility, and then again share learning, and we can challenge ourselves in this way to hopefully develop even more mindfulness skills, and mindful communities and the world itself. That would be just beautifully. Or at least give our own contribution as much as we can.
Yeah, I think that's a nice idea.
Yeah. So thank you, Melita, for this nice conversation about ethical considerations, adding on cultural diversity. Most probably we will return to this topic in some other ways. It is an important topic. So thank you for opening this space with me together.
Thank you for having me again. Yeah.
So do you wish to close the session with some short exercise?
Yeah, I think we could do that. Just to come back to ourselves. So here would be again my invitation, just coming and bringing your attention to your body, as if you're coming home again. Placing your attention here in your sitting, standing, or lying down body. Having a sense of the contact that your body has with the floor or the chair where you're sitting. And just feel that support of the chair or the floor. Seeing if you can be aware of that sense of the force of the gravity that's pinning you down on the floor or the chair. And also noticing maybe that force within your body that's kind of supporting your body in an upright position. And just getting a bit of a sense how it is in your body right now. Whatever you notice in terms of sensations, just let it be as it is. No need to correct anything, replace anything. Maybe noticing that also the breath is there, present. And as we are closing and finishing this short practice, just seeing if you can bring this sense of presence in your body into the next moments and throughout your day today. Okay.
Yeah.
I guess this means coming to the end of today's conversation.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. I also want to thank our listeners to be here to the platform and to listen to us. And of course, if you like what you're hearing, please do share. We would love to help in this way to other teachers, supervisors, or maybe practitioners or students of psychotherapy. Yeah. So until the next time, have a good day and days and weeks. We will see in next month.
Yes. Thank you. And see you next month.